Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for not allowing my oldest daughter to use my home as her wedding venue because her mother and her family will be invited? I had a restraining order against them until recently. I'm in a pretty bad situation right now. When my stepdaughter got married 2 years ago, she used our home as the wedding venue. We have a meadow in our backyard that is able to accommodate a large number of people, as well as an empty clean barn that can be set up for dinner tables. My daughter was supposed to marry at another location last year, but because of the pandemic, the venue shut down permanently. She's now asked to use my home for the wedding, but I told her my issues with that. I had a restraining order against her mother, my ex, and a few members of her family after threats and harassment were directed towards my wife and myself. The restraining order expired mid-last year, but we haven't heard from them since, but I stayed firm in my decision. This has upset my daughter greatly and she screamed at me, which she's never done. I offered to give her $15,000 for an alternative venue, but now she's adamant about it being our home. I feel extremely uncomfortable giving my ex and her family access to my home because that's where the washrooms will be. My daughter has put this issue on Facebook, and I now have all of my extended family against me. This has also stirred up my ex and her family against me. And worse is that, my wife and stepdaughter are now being accused of trying to ruin my daughter's wedding when they haven't played any part in it. I'm planning on giving in and letting my daughter use our home for the wedding later this year. But I'm going to tell my wife and stepdaughter not to be around for it. Which I'm sure is going to create a bunch of other issues. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before the little update. Phew, what a sticky wicket. Not the a-hole under the circumstances. Recommendation: renting porta potties, and maybe a commercial tent for the bride to get ready in, for the day, is relatively inexpensive, and will ensure that nobody needs access to your home. And security for the house access perhaps? In addition to having some sort of bouncer for the outside activities in case these folks make a scene. Definitely not the a-hole. Definitely some security cameras around the house. I'd do the porta potties and tent route and lock the house up on the day of. Also OP, talk to your daughter. Does she feel a little neglected compared to stepdaughter? Is there something more going on with her that made her unexpectedly scream like that? Did she know about the restraining order and the reason behind it? Are you kidding? Not the a-hole. You kinda had a restraining order on 2 members, and you gave her an opportunity to find somewhere else. Why is she so adamant about your house? I would bet money on her mom laying it onto her about how her father must prefer his stepdaughter and that sort of thing. Adult children can still be hurt and weaponized, particularly if there are any old wounds from childhood that can be picked at. I'm not saying OP did anything wrong, we don't know the story, but divorce and blended families can be hard on kids, especially if things get nasty between the parents, which the existence of a restraining order suggests they did. If she went far enough that there was a restraining order involved, I don't doubt she'd use her daughter to cause more drama. Not the a-hole. Go renew the restraining order if your ex and her family are harassing you, and explain to your daughter that she can either have the wedding at your home without her mother and her side of the family, or she can accept the $15,000 and have it elsewhere, but for personal safety reasons you will not let her mother into your home. Otherwise, rent porta potties. They have some super fancy ones for wedding venues. Trailers don't look or smell like porta potties, with a washroom. I won't be renewing the order because I don't have any real standing this time. I also don't want to renew it because I do want to attend my daughter's wedding without causing any issues. But the outdoor bathrooms are an excellent idea. I have texted the idea to my daughter. Update to my post. I messaged my daughter about the outdoor trailer bathrooms and she has refused, and said it was a disgusting idea. She then accused me of treating her worse than my stepdaughter, and that I play favorites and that I'm a terrible father. She does not want the wedding at her home anymore and hung up. She is no longer picking up my calls. I also got an angry call from my mother who says she is hosting her wedding instead. And that I will not be welcomed at the wedding. My father will be walking my daughter down the aisle instead of me. Thanks everyone for the advice. I appreciate it. But I feel like I've made the biggest mistake of my life. I'm completely heartbroken. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to have a do-over wedding as we eloped already? I was meant to get married last year at a full-on big white wedding arranged and paid for by mine and my husband's parents. It got cancelled for obvious reasons and everyone got their money back. Around the same time, both myself and my husband had falling outs with our parents/siblings that meant we didn't talk to our families for a while. His family don't like me and mine don't like him. We invited them all to a large dinner, which was mistake number one. We have a small age gap and neither side is happy about it, so when his side started making passive-aggressive comments about me, my side made comments about my husband. We realized that when we weren't talking to our families, we no longer wanted a big wedding. Further discussion showed that we were pretty much only doing it for our parents, as they were paying for it, but without that in the equation, we'd both be perfectly happy with a smaller event, so long as we were married at the end of it. When we were able to do it safely, we agreed to just order a certificate and take a few friends to the registrar's office, then get a takeaway to celebrate, and it was perfect. We did end up traveling to a different area of the country for a couple weeks as a honeymoon, but again we made sure it was all safe. We're now back in touch with our respective families, aside from a few individuals, and they want the wedding back on, rescheduled to whenever it's safe. We told them we already got married and they said this could be considered a reception. They still have the money from the first wedding so they can afford it. However, we don't want this. We've had our wedding day, we don't need another. We also recently found out that I'm pregnant, so we said to them if they really need a use for the money on something baby related, like a trust fund, might be a nice way to use it, but they said it's for a reception only. We said fine then, no reception, keep the money, but they said they missed our actual wedding, so they want to give us a do-over that they can see. To be clear, if we agree to the do-over, they are absolutely planning on waiting until it's safe to invite lots of people to a large gathering, not putting a pregnant woman, me, into a room of random people in the middle of a plague. We've held firm on not wanting anything further, as the way we see it is, we're already married and happy with our small ceremony/reception, we don't need a do-over. They however, see this as a punishment as we got married in the time we weren't speaking and didn't inform them until we got back in touch, and think our actions here are petty and uncalled for. They also say it's their money, they'll arrange everything, all we have to do is show up, and our refusal is totally unreasonable given the minuscule amount we'd have to do in order to make them happy. Are we the a-holes? Not the a-hole. The list of people who have a say on whether you have a do-over wedding, are you and your husband. It sounds like they want to make what was going to be your day, completely about them, which is freaking crazy. It sounds like whatever reason you stopped talking to them in the first place, might be worth revisiting, because they sound like horrible people. We are keeping the reason in mind. The short version is, my family don't like him and his family don't like me, so we have made perfectly clear that they are on wafer thin ice, and that the next time we stop speaking, we won't get back in touch. It's just with the baby on the way we'd like to have our families involved. However, if the situation does prove toxic in the future, then we will remove ourselves and our child from the situation. May, it sounds like you had good reason to do a small wedding not inviting people that weren't supportive of your relationship with each other. This do-over wedding is all about them saving face, not about you. I doubt your now pregnant wife wants the stress of a do-over pretend wedding that still isn't about what you want. I can see why you suggested child trust fund instead, but really they are saying they want your wedding as an excuse for a wider family event. Maybe suggest they do a party for your first anniversary when we are out of pandemic risks. But only if that's what you want. But if it isn't, no one can force you to have a party which is clearly more about them than about you and your relationship. I'd be open to a first anniversary party, but the anniversary is coming up soon, so it might happen before we're out of lockdown. Neither of us are really fussed about the whole concept of a large party, but our parents are saying they've set aside tens of thousands between them to put on a big expensive wedding and refuse to use the money for anything else. I'm the wife by the way, lol. Not the a-hole, who prioritizes a one-day, overpriced event, over their grandchild's future. No wonder you had a falling out with your family. Can't blame you. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for picking my better behaved niece to be flower girl at my wedding? My fiancé and I are getting married this December. We're having a 100-person wedding because we really just wanted to invite family and close friends. Obviously, we're very excited and having a great time planning. My fiancé has one nephew who is 7 years old, so obviously we chose him to be our ring bearer. For our flower girl, I have 3 nieces. My brother Leo has an 8-year-old daughter named Natalia. She is an absolute angel, so sweet and well behaved and just always very happy. My other brother John has 2 daughters, Sarah, she's a baby, and Ivy, 7 years old. Just to be very honest, Natalia is way better behaved than Ivy. I love both girls, but Natalia is the one who I can grab to go on an auntie/niece outing on a Saturday, and it's a lovely time. She's always happy and polite. Ivy is a sweetheart too, but she's much more moody and temperamental. A day out with her will go well, if we do everything she wants, where to go, what to eat, etc. But even one thing going off will lead to tears or, more recently, to an attitude. And I don't blame Ivy for her behavior because honestly, it goes back to parenting and the lack of emotional regulation/coping strategies that inevitably occur when a child isn't taught how to self-regulate, and instead is pacified immediately with whatever shiny object. But honestly, I immediately wanted Natalia as flower girl, and when I asked my brother/sister-in-law if it was okay, they were really happy about it, so I asked Natalia and she was super excited. I told her she can pick the flowers she wants to drop down the aisle and it's adorable. My sis-in-law texted me about how Natalia has been Googling to find the prettiest flowers. When I told my mom, who is planning the wedding with me, that I asked Natalia to be my flower girl, she immediately was against it. She said that as the grandma she can't enable me to differentiate between the girls, which I understand, but she also admitted she sees why I chose Natalia. She was against it and told me to have both girls as flower girls. I decided to think about it for a bit and before you know it, my sis-in-law, Natalia's mom, made an Instagram post where she mentioned, "We had such a fun day at the park and Natalia finally decided what flowers she's dropping for her Andy's wedding." My other brother John and his wife are big mad. Maybe I should have told them, but I felt like it would be more awkward if I did. Better to just not mention? But I don't like how they're saying I'm selfish/picking favorites/dividing the girls and that Ivy will be scarred from not being in the wedding when her cousin is. It's obvious to anyone that with one niece I'm guaranteed to have a smiling flower girl and with another niece it's a 50-50 shot. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but try to remember that Ivy is 7 so this is going to hurt her feelings a lot. Is there any other role she could play in the wedding that doesn't require the same level of best behavior as flower girl? Even if you can find some way to include her, I think it would go a long way. She could sit at a guest book table or something maybe? Or something small like that? I disagree. I think she should make her a flower girl. The ring bearer and flower girl are kids and everyone in attendance knows they don't always perform perfectly. And if she bails last second then the other girl goes by herself. It happens all the time. No one in attendance cares, it's actually usually funny or cute. My niece wouldn't go down as a flower girl so she just walked with my sister that was a bridesmaid. At my friend's wedding, the ring bearer sprinted down the aisle. Weddings are usually about family. Is it really worth it? This part of the wedding is 2 minutes long and the bride won't even see it. I disagree with the funny and cute part. It's sometimes loud, stressful for everyone around trying to get the child to calm down, and distractive. Some kids don't want to later let the bride and groom have all the attention because they liked it so much. It really depends on the child, and if OP believes the younger one could affect the wedding, it's okay to say no. It's a wedding, not the child's birthday. No a-holes here. It's your wedding and ultimately you get to decide who's in it. At the same time, it's understandable that your family is miffed about you choosing one niece and excluding another. Your priority is putting on an ideal wedding. Ivy's parents' priority is looking out for their kid, who will certainly feel left out and excluded. I will say that of all the weddings I've been to, I have zero recollection of any of the flower girls or whether they were smiling. But if a random little girl in the church was throwing a tantrum over not being the flower girl, I'd remember that. Just some food for thought. Not the a-hole. Just say you picked one person from groom's side and one from bride's, and you went with the oldest and that's that. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé to stop blaming our kids for ruining her body? My fiancé, 46 female, and I, 48 male, used to both be fitness enthusiasts. She used to go to the gym with me all the time and we shared passions in mountain biking, CrossFit, and were competitive rowers from our college years onward. She used to take pride in the fact that she would push herself to the limit to keep up with me fitness-wise. However, after our 4-year-old and 3-year-old girls were born, my fiancée began saying that using the elliptical and treadmill at the gym already constituted pushing herself to the limit. She was having trouble with her miles of extra skin, her words not mine, and said her gym rat days are over. She ended up gaining weight, had spider veins, and would say that she was now mama to her kids, and that I say I want a sexy partner, not just a mama, but refuse to plan a wedding. In these past 4 years, she's bought more and more into what I saw to be very tacky mommy motivation YouTube channels and online magazine subscriptions. Started joining a bunch of support groups and attending working mother summits, even though she hasn't worked in 6 years. All that's okay, but one of her mommy friends who runs a local women's wellness magazine asked her to do a shoot about empowering mom bodies. She and about 19 other women ended up having pictures taken of their so-called tiger stripes and talked about embracing their mom bodies. I didn't check out what was put out until I logged on to social media today, and saw my wife tagged in her picture, and I felt like what I saw was just a whole lot of indecent taste. There was a picture where the two kids' feet was resting near where my fiance's stomach's crepe texture started. My fiancé wrote an excerpt about how she used to be an avid rower and never shy in a bikini, but for the longest time after the kids, she ached everywhere and could barely get her excess weight and skin into her leggings. She says she felt undesirable, like she felt not valuable because she had lost her beauty and fitness. But then she tries to dispel it all by saying she realizes that her kids don't care and think she's beautiful, and that her body made her proud to be a woman because it housed her kids for 9 months. I confronted my fiancé and said it was one thing to not feel like a woman, but to essentially blame our kids for ruining her body when she made the decision as an adult with free will was horrible mothering. She yelled that this wasn't what she meant, and that she was saying she's grateful her body gave us children. I said that obviously the picture with our kids' feet around her stomach was pointing out the cause of her ruined body, and it couldn't be more obvious. Am I the a-hole for thinking that she needed to hear that she can't blame others when if she really ruined her body that was her own decision, not my kids? Ha ha ha, you're about to get torn apart on this sub. Good luck, a-hole. It's like blood in the water. You're the a-hole. So much. Your wife is trying to feel secure in her body, which has changed after having kids. She's trying to be proud and feel empowered by her body. And you're being a jerk about it. At the end of the day, having your kids has changed her body, and by the sounds of it, her mindset too. Which isn't a bad thing. OP needs a come to Jesus moment. Yikes. You're the a-hole, and I hope you end up with a crepe-textured stomach. What does that even mean, laughing my butt off? You're the a-hole, and I'm pretty sure you know it. First of all, why are you calling this her decision when she didn't get pregnant on her own? Second, do you have a problem with her body or not? If not, then I don't know what the hell you're so upset over. She doesn't look the way she did pre-kids, and that may have been difficult for her to cope with, but that doesn't mean she's lying when she says it was worth the trade-off the way you seem to think she is. If you do, and I think it's pretty clear what the case is from your fixation on her stripes and crepe and all the other stuff that makes a pose you probably wouldn't have thought twice about before her pregnancy seem tasteless to you now, then you're the one trying to blame the kids for your issues, and you need to knock it off. Also, what's this about you not wanting to plan a wedding? You know there aren't any actual points in a-hole bingo, right? After he made the comment that he wanted a sexy partner, not just a mama, I went from you're the a-hole to a massive you're the a-hole. Seriously, 2 kids under 5 changes a body, and her job is not to please him and give him what he wants. He either needs to grow up or leave. She deserves better than him. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.